Okay, so midsummer squash update. This is a raised bed that I made back in the spring, specifically for putting squash in, because I didn't have a lot of ground space to spare for them. So I thought I would prepare a bit of ground at a bit of with a bit of mushroom compost and manure, and let that rot down a little bit before the May planting. And so I'll just take you through what we've got planted here, and I managed to squeeze some in round about allotment and other beds, so we'll have a look at them as well. Some of the varieties that we've got, I think I'm growing 5 or 6 varieties. These ones are red Kuri. Obviously they look a bit orange now, they'll turn red very soon. Some smaller ones kicking about in there as well, and there's a few more coming which I can't see right now, but they're definitely there. We also have, this is convenient because I've got 2 sitting on top of each other here that are 2 different varieties. So we have this one here, which is a Buttercup Squash, which I got from Real Seeds, and this one here is a Marina di Chioggia, which I got from Premier Seeds. That's growing quite fast now. This one's going to get very knobbly. It'll sort of branch out and get knobbly as it matures. This one isn't far away. It's probably another 4 inches or so to grow before it gets big. There's another Marina up there, and there's some smaller ones sort of hanging over the edge here as well. Here's another Buttercup Squash, which has appeared in the last couple of days. I didn't see this one here before. I also see another little one down there. So more of them than I bargained for. More Kuri squash growing together. They're growing off the same node. It's a bit bizarre. They both came off the same flower. But it just shows you, you never know what you're going to get with these things. And this is the first year I'm growing these, so this is all new to me. Maybe this is normal, maybe it isn't. Up on top of here we have another squash plant which was kind of buried underneath peas, but has now found its way out. This is another Marina di Chioggia, but it's not giving us any fruit yet. Oh, I tell a lie. There we are, it's got one right on the end. Hopefully that will come to something, and hopefully it won't crush my mesh net in here. We've got some more squashes dotted about. Let's go and have a look at those. In amongst the sweet corn and next to my broad beans, I thought I would try one of the sort of Three Sisters ideas. So I stuck a squash in here, and it's got a leader that's decided to try and climb up into the beans, and it's grown a lovely squash there. This is a candy roaster. I've got a couple other candy roaster plants that are interesting as well. I thought these would be the ones that I wouldn't get as many off of, but these are the ones that are giving out the most fruit at the moment, that are growing the most. So we'll go and have a look at those. This is another one that's probably Two Sisters. I'm growing this in amongst beans, green beans. No sweet corn in this bed. We do have some very, very hungry brassicas there. Those are Altobriano Romanesco, broccoli, cauliflower, whichever you want to call it. They're taking up a lot of the energy in the soil, so the green beans are a little bit pale, but hopefully they'll come good. This is the squash, the candy roaster, and it's got a leader that's going all the way up there, and it seems to want to continue on forever. But we have this big beauty here, and just to give you a sense of scale, I'll put my hand into the picture. This is a big squash. There's also another little one at the end there, which I don't think is going to come to much. I think it's starting to rot a little bit at the tip, so we'll probably pull that one off and let it put all its energy into this one. But this is giving us a good return. And over here we have another candy roaster plant. This one's in amongst onions, and it's given us so far a pretty good return as well. These squashes are doubling in size every couple of days, so they were about that size at the beginning of the week, and they are now, wow, what's that, 10 inches, probably 10 inches long. They'll grow now a little bit and they'll fatten up a little bit. They'll probably get to about this fat and this long, which will be interesting. They'll be good for storage. Apparently they're really good. Well, the name Candy Roaster would suggest that they're a tasty kind of squash. And these are in amongst Kanto onions, which have been sitting here since the spring. There's not been a lot of growth in them, but I don't think they get very big, so I don't think the squash is affecting them too much. It just shows you can plant them in amongst anything. I mean, they do like sort of nutrient-rich soil, but next to them on that side is beetroot, and they haven't been affected either. They've been getting harvested. They're quite big globes of beetroot, if you want to call it. And over there we've got carrots, so they don't mind being in here. They're quite happy. So there isn't really anything special I'm doing here. It's no dig. This was a mulch compost that I did last autumn, and I'll do another one this autumn, and next year I may even plant more squash in here again. Maybe just move up to where the carrots are and move the carrots over to here. It's no odds to me. But one of our local pests arriving. No brassicas in this bed for you to lay your eggs on, I'm afraid. Unlike over there where they've eaten my other Ottobriano Romanesco to death. Let's go and look at some more squashes. We've got some summer squash and a couple other unusual ones. This one is a summer squash. It is a Tromba de albenga. As you can see, there's a little fruit on it now. They grow big curved, sort of courgette-like, half courgette, half winter squash type things. I've already harvested a couple, and they're very, very tasty. A couple more coming on this one. This is outdoors. This one. There's one in my polytunnel which is several orders of magnitude bigger than this. It's actually taken over the that's the polytunnel there, and it has completely taken over it. I'll show you that in a minute. Down here we have another summer squash. This is a Scallop Disco, and it's been very productive. I have one inside a greenhouse that hasn't given me any fruit at all, and this is the outdoor one. I'll remind you that we're in Fife in Scotland, so I think we're supposedly zone 8, but I'm not so sure. But we're getting good returns on the squash. Maybe, I don't know if this summer's any different from any other, but next year we'll test that out. It's a very hot day today. It's very overcast, but when the sun comes out it is burning. So these guys are enjoying that, I would imagine. Next then we have another sort of summery, sort of winter squash. These are Little Gem, and my South African friends will be happy to see me growing these, although they might be a little surprised that we can grow them in Scotland. I was. So I never tried it for years, but now that I've tried it I'm glad, because we're getting fruit galore off it. So I'll definitely be growing more of them next year, because they're a favourite of mine. And amongst all of these, again, this is another one where I'm breaking the rules a little bit, because squash plants are supposed to be a metre apart, and these ones are probably 30 centimetres apart in this little bed, and they're sharing it with climbing beans. And there's no ill effects, there's no adverse effects so far. And here we have a Crown Prince squash, and we have another one further up the allotment. This one doesn't seem to be producing much fruit. I think it's just gonna give up at one. The other ones are turning yellow and dropping off. So there's a weed. We don't like weeds. Right, so we'll go up and we'll have a look at the other Crown Prince and a couple of other squash plants, and then we'll go into the polytunnel and look at what we have in there. Some of our local pests attacking our cauliflower seedlings there. I'll get those eggs in a minute and we will make sure those caterpillars don't hatch out and destroy my plants. In the meantime, we've got 4 beds or so here of varying things. We've got onions. Over there we've got more brassicas under nets. You see one of those little cabbage white butterflies trying to get in there. No luck to it. In this bed here we've got some cabbage, brassicas. We had turnips in here at one point and a few other things. And we also have a couple of squashes. And this one is another Crown Prince and it's doing well. And even despite all the competition it had in this bed, it's still managing to give us a decent sized squash. This has got a bit of growing to do. I mean, we're just at the end of July, so this has got until the mid-October, hopefully without any frosts, to grow still. So it's in amongst beetroot as well, like the other squashes up there, and again, they're not stealing anything from each other, they're happily coexisting. At the back there we have a Scallop Disco, but that's one of the ones that just isn't producing at all, so that one's going to get pulled just shortly. I think that one was affected by some of the plants that were next to it. It's maybe not as strong, as resilient as the winter squash plants are, so it's suffered a little bit, so that will be coming out. At the back end of the allotment I created a new bed just in towards the end of the spring, just for planting a few bits and bobs that I had. Again, this is a two sisters sort of bed. All that we have here is I put down some cardboard because this was quite heavily weedy, and then on top of that I put probably about 3-4 inches of mushroom compost and planted directly into that. We planted in some squash and beans, and at the back there we have a tree cabbage, which I put a little bit further away just in case it took anything away from the squashes. Now these took a long time to get going, and I think that usually happens when we've got cardboard under there, because they like to get the roots down deep, and it takes a while for maybe the cardboard to loosen up a little bit for them to get their roots through. But now that they have, they're producing fantastic fruits. As you can see, the beans themselves, we've got some lovely beans on there. These are Borlotti, this is a dwarf kind of Borlotti bean. But squash plant's doing well. Got some more coming on there. This was climbing up on top of my mesh here as well, but I pulled it off before it grabbed onto it, or well, I thought I had. That's the danger with this, it can destroy your mesh a little bit if you let it climb up them. But yeah, I'm happy with this plant here, and we'll get probably, hopefully 3, definitely 2 squashes off of here, which I'm happy with considering it's a brand new bed and they had the cardboard to contend with. This bed will be much more fertile next year. Okay, so that's outside, all the squash that we've got outside taken care of. So now we're going to have a look at the squash in the polytunnel, and maybe a little look at a watermelon as well. So back in the spring, once I'd got my polytunnel up, I spaced it out into blocks, and I decided, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. all the way around. Decided with space for 8 plants on each side, and maybe some lettuce along the back end in a smaller bed. And the lettuce is long gone, and we replaced the lettuce with some radishes, which I'm letting go to seed, so as I can save the seed off of them. As you can see, they've gone well to seed. We put a tomatillo in the middle of that, which is giving us a few lanterns and stuff. We'll have a look at that in another little while. There's another big tomatillo here that isn't doing much. Some tomatoes, some chilies, etc. But what we're in here to look at are the plants that have basically taken ownership of this polytunnel. Now, this is the path for the polytunnel that I'm standing on, and it's a wood chip path, and you can see it kind of disappears under there, and it runs all the way to the back. Now I can't see the path, and I can't see the path because this Tromba, the albenga plant, which is giving us fruit here at this side all the way along, and I can see fruits at the back over there and through there and over there. You can't maybe see the scale of this even if I put my hand into the picture, but we're probably looking at about 4 square meters of that corner that it's taken up, plus this leader that's went along to there, and the leader that's snuck round the back and is now meeting up with it which is also covered in fruit. Now that's good, it's prolific, you know. We like the Tromba. They've got a very sort of courgette type flavour, and very good fried up with a little butter and garlic, but it's destroying my polytunnel. So if you look over there, I'll zoom in so you can see a little bit better. It's actually forced the plastic cover away from the bars, so that's fun. I've had to shut the window on that side because it was starting to destroy the mesh. So lesson learned, next year if I grow the Tromba, they'll all be going outside and staying there, because they're producing quite well out there. They don't need to be indoors. There's another beautiful fruit there. This one here isn't far away from being ready. I would give it another, get to about that thick, and that shouldn't take too long, a few days, and that'll be ready. Also, while we're in here, another plant that's taken over, that you can maybe see it winding its way in between the Tromba, and it can also probably be found down here. You can see it down there creeping along. It's went all the way along into the tomatillos, and that is my watermelon plant, which I planted over here, which I have to be careful I don't stand on because it's crawling across the path as well. And in here we have a beautiful little watermelon coming. Now I didn't think this was possible as well, or I would have been growing them years ago, but there you go. We've got a temperature in here at the minute today, with it being overcast. It's still 26 degrees in here. I've seen it being 50 degrees in here, and having to open the door and leave the door open even when it's windy, and taking that risk. Also, we have another melon plant at the back here. This is a melon Tasty Bites. This is from Plants of Distinction, I think, and it's grown a lot. I can see little fruits forming on it, like over there, but I'm not seeing much in terms of it growing a melon. So it may be that the tomatoes are taken a bit away from it because it's actually quite close to them. There's a chili plant at the back there that's not going to produce. It's got some flowers on it now, but I don't think we're going to get anything off of that. So thanks for watching. This has been my little squash update for the summer. I'll be posting another one probably in about 2 or 3 weeks time. We'll see what happens. They'll start ripening up soon, I'm sure, at which point I'll probably be showing you how I'm going to be storing them and cooking them. And in terms of the summer squash, I'll probably do a recipe video, show you how to cook up these Tromba, and we'll keep tabs on the watermelon. Also coming up, there'll be an allotment walkthrough and some videos on how I've done what I've done with the allotment. We'll go through what it was like when I got it, and how I've got it into the state that it's in, and hopefully you'll learn something from it, and hopefully along the way I'll learn something from you as well. So please, if you like this video and you want to see future content, please hit the subscribe button and hit the little bell icon, so that you get alerted when I post new videos, and I'm going to do it quite a lot, so yeah, stay tuned. Thanks.